least 4,000 delegates are expected to gather in Bloemfontein today at the Free State Provincial Men's Indaba. Faith-based groups, civil society organizations, political parties, and even government officials will discuss possible solutions to the crisis. Ziniko Mhlaba joins us now live from Bloemfontein. Ziniko, just a sense of the reason why this is happening, of course, with 16 days of activism against violence on women and children being a key part of the theme, but it's a holistic theme that needs to be tackled all year round. Good morning.
A very good morning to you, Arabile. Yes, indeed, it's an issue that needs to be talked about throughout there, and that is why the national government, through the province of the Free State, decided to bring together all various voices and stakeholders, whether we're talking about civil society, whether we're talking about government entities and departments, and that's why we'll see different ministers, descending in Free State today to really have that conversation, between all those stakeholders in terms of trying to find solutions regarding how the country can uproot issues of gender-based violence and femicide. So it is all happening here in the judicial capital in Bloemfontein. However, part one of that conversation, which is going to be taking place in the afternoon, is ensuring that communities such as Botshabelo do have access to judicial services, especially when it comes to accessing justice relating to cases that have to do with sexual offences court. And that is why we're here this morning with the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Mama Mamoloko Kupai, who's joining me now. Talk to us about this particular service, Minister. Later on, we'll be talking about gender-based violence in general. But talk to us about this issue of sexual offences courts, especially in communities such as Botshabelo, a township in the peripheries without the city, the importance of that in the broader conversation about gender-based violence.
No, thank you very much. Good morning to your viewers and good morning to everyone. I just want to raise that we are here today visiting Botshabelo to launch the Sexual Offences Court, which is critical for us in the fight against gender-based violence. This has been decided that we must have specialized courts that deal with sexual offences, because in that way you are able to ensure that the magistrate is properly trained. You are able to ensure that the prosecutors who deal with the cases of sexual offences are properly trained. You are able to ensure that even the people who manage in terms of administration are able to handle the cases properly with the sensitivity that is required without subjecting the victims and survivors to secondary victimization. So that's one of the issues why it's critical. So we have decided as the Department of Justice that 16 sexual offences courts will be launched this year, and then we'll upgrade about 40 of the courts to make them victim support or victim friendly, so that they can have all the catalogue. So it's different. When you deal with children, you have a testifying room. You'll have a room that deals with the children. You'll see when we take you through, where it's got even playing area for the children, so that it's easier for the kids to feel comfortable and they can narrate their stories. But also even for the women who come here, it must not be like they are now in prison themselves, or they are actually being subjected to victimization. So that's why the Sexual Offences Court is important.
I'm going to talk about the importance of creating awareness about these services you just beautifully explained to the community members, especially those that might not be up to speed with such services, the importance of them knowing, but also making use of this. But second question, the issue of DNA backlogs. I know that is not your responsibility, but how is it still frustrating your process as the judiciary in terms of solving sexual offences courts cases in South Africa?
Look, in terms of the DNA, and you'd have heard Deputy Minister Bushelo yesterday was answering questions in Parliament, and this is one of the areas. They've acknowledged as SAPS that not all provinces have DNA labs, which is good now that they're going to launch on the 8th, which is next week, Monday. They will be launching one in KZN, and we have quite a lot of backlog of DNA in terms of sexual offences there. So we're looking forward to the expansion of DNA labs so that we can be able to get the results quicker. But I want to say to the viewers, because sometimes everybody thinks that to solve a sexual offense case, you need DNA. It's not every time that DNA is needed. You do have successful prosecution in a case where sexual offense has happened without even having to have the DNA, because if there's evidence that proves that this person actually has done, even in cases of statutory rape, where a child has actually ended up pregnant. It's one of the cases that, or it's popular topic that is there, because there's no 11-year-old who can give consent to sex. When that child is pregnant and has a child, all you do is take it. Yes, you can take a DNA of the father to be able to say, but most of the time the fathers do acknowledge that, no, I didn't know that this was a child, and all those. So admitting, so it doesn't even need to go to DNA, and therefore that's what they would be able to process. So we are looking forward to an increased rollout of the DNA labs across the country. But I do believe that working together with society, creating awareness about how to handle sexual offenses. And I always say to parents, to family members, don't make yourself a social worker. Don't convert yourself to a psychiatrist, starting to interview a victim, because in the process you might distort the narrative and you might distort the statement of the witness, that later when they come to court, there might be different version. We always say, allow the professionals to deal with the matter. Once it's reported, don't go further. Go take the child, take the lady, the woman, to or even because sometimes children, boys are being molested, take them to a professional in our clinics, in our Tutuzela centers, in these courts, just to say, I don't have a case, I don't know where to go. Any facility of government, they will be able to direct you to where you can go and get help.
Minister, thank you very much for your time. Let me release it to my other colleagues. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's Minister Mhlaba Kupai, the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, to just give us more insights about what is it that's happening here in Botshabelo, but making mention of the importance of parents taking that bold step. And I must mention that indeed there was a successful prosecution here in the very same community where a 32-year-old man was convicted for sexually violating a 12-year-old in this very same court. These are some of the things that really will be discussed at that men's Indaba later on today. It's back to you, Arabella, in studio for now.
Ziniko, thank you so much for giving us that interview as well. And we will continue to follow proceedings there, because President Cyril Ramaphosa is anticipated to be in attendance and deliver a keynote address a little bit later on.